What is up? Welcome back to another video. Now, I wasn't really going to do a news video for today, but it turns out there's actually a lot to talk about. So I'm here on my vacation to talk about some news. Because of that, I think you should like the video and subscribe because, committed, okay? Before we get into the news that we have, quick shout out to the members of the channel whose lovely names are here and here. Join the channel to get access to exclusive videos, early access to other videos, and the special shout out once a week. I also have a whole lot of other perks that I'm going to be rolling out next year, so join the channel so you don't miss out on those. So to begin, we have a few new products out there that I want to quickly talk about, and then there's a new film camera, which is exciting, kind of. We'll get into that. First, we have the Reveni Labs laser finder. It's a holder that you put in the hot or cold shoe of your camera system, and then you can put one of those little laser range finding systems. It gives you accurate measurements to whatever subject you have, and then you can adjust focus from there. So it makes like the idea of hip firing, check out my video on that, a lot easier. It would work great if you have like a Voigtlander Bessa L or any kind of rangefinder system. And the way that it sits, it's going to be long ways on the camera. Now there's two options. You can buy just the holder itself and then buy the rangefinder separately, or you can buy the rangefinder and the holder from Matt all together. I think depending on shipping regulations, it might be easier for you to just buy the holder and then buy the rangefinder yourself, but he goes in great detail on his website about that. So I'm going to put the link down below. If you're interested, you can check out that product. Next up, we have Reflx Lab. They are dropping some Pentax 17 accessories. Chief among them are replacement screws for the battery holder. If for whatever reason you're switching out your battery and the screw goes missing, they have replacements for those. I think they come in like a 3-pack or something like that. They also have leather cases. They have all sorts of other adornments for the Pentax 17, which is pretty handy, pretty clever. So if you're interested in jazzing up your 17 experience, I would recommend checking them out for that. Again, the link will be down below. Finally, before we get into the big news item, Petapixel, which I think they do camera reviews and stuff on here. They used to be a different thing and they changed their name or something like that. But they wrote an article on the film news of 2024. Just like a, hey, here's everything that happened. It was a analog resurgence year, so they put it. Breezed through the article, I would say. And there's a few things that like kind of jumped out at me as like, okay, it's like, they did make mention of like a lot of like positive news and like, the 17 and the Rolly 35 AF and all this other stuff, which is great. And then there's also like a lot of filler that I felt like they put in there. Like for instance, they mentioned the Helios film, which I talked about in my last video. And I was very curious because I wanted to read what they said, because as far as I know, the film's not for sale anywhere. So it's like this phantom product that was announced almost a year ago now, and then was never released. But they mentioned it in there, and then even in the mention, they were like, well, it's actually not out yet, but it might come out. I just thought that was kind of weird. It's like, I guess it looks good to say like, oh, all of these new film stocks came out, but in reality, there's only like a few film stocks that were actually released last year. One of them was the Harman Phoenix M120, which was a film stock that came out the year previous, but now it's in a different format, which is still cool, but it's not new per se. The other one is the P33, which is a new film stock. They're like, oh, and Helios, or like whatever other recanned Kodak Cine film, which also is not new. So it's just, that kind of felt weird to me a little bit. It kind of goes back to this whole, where is this industry heading argument that I've been having for the last few weeks. But regardless, I thought that was kind of strange. They also mentioned the Yes exclamation point star S1 camera, and then they also mentioned the Yes exclamation point star teaming up with Fuji to produce film in China. The Yes star S1 though is kind of weird because it's just another reusable disposable system. It's the same design as all of the ones out there, it's just a different name. So again, it's like, it's not really a new camera, I guess. I just thought that was kind of like a odd thing to include there. I'm not trying to like pick apart the article. It's just kind of like, I guess, yes, it's a new camera, but is it really, Final two things, the Kodak Super 8. I legitimately forgot that this came out this past year. I don't know. It kind of came out like a wet fart, if I'm honest. When it was announced in 2015, 2016, I was like psyched about it because I was like in film school and I was like, this is going to be the best thing ever. And then it kind of kept getting pushed back. The price kept going up. And then when it finally released, and it's like, what, $3,000 or more? And it's just like, ugh, dude, for what? Like a Super 8 camera? I know that they have a video on it, and I think what happened was Kodak gave them one to test out and to use and stuff, so they were able to make a video about it. But maybe don't listen to me on this one, but I just completely forgot that the Kodak Super 8 came out this year, so this is more of an amendment on my part. That was kind of big news that happened last year, and I don't think it will ultimately lead to more motion picture cameras coming out because, again, I think it kind of came out like a wet fart, but it is cool to see a new professional line motion picture camera, even if it is for the least professional of all of the motion picture film stocks. Couldn't make a 16mm camera? That's fine. It's okay. The other thing that I wanted to mention, the final thing that I wanted to kind of pick apart the article. Otherwise, this is a fine article. I do have other positive notes about it. It pretty much just does what I did in my 2024 concluded video. So I didn't really feel the need to like relitigate all of those points, but they didn't mention the Reveni Labs camera speed tester. And I know that this is kind of grain of salt because me and Reveni Labs have a bit of a relationship. We've had like a few conversations here and there. I would consider us internet friends for what it's worth. But I do think in terms of the overall scope of the film photography landscape, the Reveni Labs camera speed tester is a significantly better addition than the YesStar S1 camera. It's not as sexy as new film camera, but I think for the purposes of continuing on the film photography community, having camera speed testing units and having things that can help people preserve the products that are out there is ultimately a million times more beneficial than more reusable disposables on the market. Personal opinion, but it's something I do stand by, and I feel like it doesn't really take a whole lot to make sense of that, but I digress. That was just one thing that was just like, yeah, dude, what, that you're not including that? But anyway, that's kind of the article. Those were like my points. I'll link it down below if you want to check it out for yourself. Again, it's just kind of like the video I did, but written out and talks about other things. All right, now on to the next item, the big one, the big kahuna, the reason you might have clicked on this video. New film camera coming out. This one is from Analog Amsterdam, which is an outfit in Amsterdam, as the name would suggest, and they primarily focus on analog photography, surprisingly enough. I looked at some of the specs of the system. I will put them kind of on the screen as well. I reached out for any additional information. I've yet to hear back, but also it's the weekend, so like I'm not expecting to hear back from them because not everyone is as dedicated as I am here, clearly on my vacation in my pajamas outside. The point is that the film camera does not appear to be a reskin of what's on the market. And I can tell this because of a number of things. One, there's enough unique capability to it that I don't think that it is those things. Two, they have what I kind of wish Film Never Die had, which was a roadmap. Start planning this, start doing the 3D rendering, start doing this, whatever. So it's something they've obviously invested a lot of time into. And then if you look at just the overall capability of the system, it uses LiDAR for autofocus. That's a whole other level of articulation that the reusable disposables don't have. It does have an auto take-up spool, which is another thing that a lot of the reusable disposables don't have. They rely on you to advance it with your thumb, which is fine, but you know, not having to do that means that there's a motorized system in there, meaning that there's more complexity to it as well. The website's really cool on the computer. It's kind of terrible on the phone, I'll be honest. But the lens, let's see, it's a 35mm f2.8, so that's incredibly fast. It looks like there's 6 elements. Yeah, 6 elements in 4 groups. So that's a lot of glass elements, meaning that's going to be a very, very sharp lens. I don't know if the photos that are featured are taken on the system or not. If they are, they look really good. They look incredibly sharp. Has a 1/1000th of a second shutter speed all the way down to 4 seconds, which is a really great range, I would say. And again, if you're dealing with a really fast 35mm 2.8 lens, there's a whole range of utility in which you can use it, which is great. This is also like one of the faster lenses that's come out, one of the faster cameras I would say that's come out, because the 17 is a 3.5, and I think the Rolly 35 AF might also be a 3.5. It might be a 2.8 though, so I could be wrong on that. There's built-in flash as well with a pretty fast recycling time. Going price of this is €399 euros, I think. If you order now, you get a 15% discount, so it's €339. And then it's set to release in summer of 2025. So the specifications ranges from 2.8 to f16, large aperture lens, which is great, 6 elements, 4 groups. We got a shutter speed of 1/1000th to 4 seconds, LiDAR autofocus system, focusing range from 0.5 meter to infinity. You got focus and exposure lock, which is very nice to have, especially when the camera system is going to be as automated as this is. Having some kind of manual control features on there is really awesome. 2-stage shutter release, which is nice. Recycling time for the flash is, like I said, 0.5 second to 3 seconds. The flash is good for 3 meters at 100 ISO, which is very nice. LED indicators for flash and focus, automatic winder, forced rewind button, 35mm film, 36x24, so it's not a half frame. It has DX code reading from 25 to 5000, 10-second self-timer, and it uses a CR123A 3-volt battery, which is one of my favorite batteries. And as I mentioned, there's the roadmap. The research began in October of 2022. We're here in December 2024, which is the development sample release. And then January to February is going to be tooling, creation, and design testing. March 2025, tooling modification. April 2025, pre-production sample release, 50 pieces. May to June is the mass production, and June to July is going to be the delivery start time. So if you pre-order now, you're looking at probably June to July, which again, I think is a fairly reasonable turnaround. And if you ask me, this is probably what the future of film camera is going to look like. It's going to be small, independent, but still semi-wealthy shops developing their own systems and potentially looking to release them. I'm not sure about the parts that are used. I'm not sure about any kind of warranties. There probably will be some. For all intents and purposes, it sounds like it's going to be a fairly well-designed piece of kit. It has a lot of functionality to it as well, a lot of features that people could like. It's going to be a good option. I think where it's sitting at like that €399 price range, it's going to be a little bit more affordable than a 17, and it's probably going to undercut a lot of the secondhand point-and-shoot market that's out there, where, I mean, even Analog Amsterdam has this, where they'll have point and shoots for sale. They're like $400, or Olympus stylus, and those have notable issues with the gearing mechanisms breaking down over time. So offering a replacement for something like that, which would be a new camera and would have all of the functionality of the system with the added peace of mind of it being new, having a potential warranty, I think that's ultimately quite huge. And obviously the market exists, because now we've seen Pentax 17, we've seen all the reusable disposables, all the companies that popped up to make reusable disposables, the Yes Star 1 and the Nana 35mm, all of these things are all trying to access and accommodate this lower tier market of consumers, of people just wanting film for the vibes. But I do think that this is going to probably reach that higher echelon of market, because again, it has very, very sharp optics by the looks of it, and it has a lot of utility. Also, DX code reading is very nice, meaning you're going to get very accurate metering. Some level of computing in the system itself will be nice to see. I'm very curious to get my hands on one and try it out and give a little bit more informed review, but from what I can tell, it seems to be a really good system, and I'm really stoked to see something like this happen, a little bit more groundswell from the community releasing something that they kind of want. So I think that's it for now. Again, links for that will be down below if you want to check it out yourself and pre-order. I recommend you do that, because it seems to be a pretty good deal at the moment. Let me know if you have any questions, comments, concerns. Leave those down below. Thank you very much for watching. Like the video if you enjoyed it. Subscribe to the channel as well. I appreciate that support. Join the channel if you can. I would definitely appreciate that. And until the next one, happy holidays. Enjoy time with your family if you're choosing to do so, or enjoy time where you're doing whatever it is you do. I'm going to go back inside because, again, it's very hot out here. Thanks for watching. Appreciate it again, and I will catch you on the next one.